All right, ladies and gents. This is going to be a really short video just talking about this aesthetic of cosmic indifferentism that some people have argued is at the core of Lovecraft's fiction. So as you know, one of the main things he's known for is his Cthulhu mythos. One of the implications of that is that he thought that a lot of the old-time monsters and horror stories had just lost their power to chill or affect audiences. Goblins, vampires, elves, fairies, sprites, imps, ghosts, pukas, none of them were that terrifying anymore. So he's like, I need some new stuff. I needed to come up with something. And one of the things that he just was really into was science. And one of the things that was really a big factor in the 20th century was just how pervasive science has become. Now, when we talk about Franz Kafka and the Metamorphosis in a few weeks down the road, we're going to discover that one of the things that Kafka is really known for is this idea of alienation, where you are somehow separate from your world and your surroundings. But whereas Kafka, when we talk about that his short story, talks about alienation in terms of like bureaucracy and from your family, Lovecraftian alienation is going to be between humanity and the cosmos. We, mankind and humankind, are alienated from the cosmos itself. And that's to Josh, he gives one definition of cosmic indifferentism. There's a couple of different ones he provides. It's the suggestion of the vast gulfs of space and time and the resultant inconsequence of the human species. Think about this, and I'm sure most of you have had this thought before. Think about you right now. And okay, your life seems very, very important to you, the life of your family and your friends, they're very, very important to you. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm sure you've had this thought, how important are they really? Maybe you could be, win the Nobel Peace Prize. In the grand scheme of things, how important is that? And 40,000 years of human history. Even if you, save the world from a meteor, like in the movie Armageddon, great, you saved the world literally. How important is that in the grand scheme of things? Because if you think about the universe itself, I mean, there's 9 planets in our solar system, hundreds of thousands of planets in our galaxy, our solar system, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of planets, and we're happy we saved one of them. Sure, we care about it because it's us, but if you think about how wide and expansive the whole universe is throughout eternity, and the Earth itself is not that old in the grand scheme of things, how small and how pitiful, how meager all our lives are. Cheery thought. And Lovecraft, he said, okay, all these monsters from old times, goblins, sprites, and ghosts and vampires, they're dull. What if we take this new scientific worldview, and this idea of man's infinite smallness is very much part of 20th century science, especially when you have people talking about theories of relativity, discovering new solar systems for the first time because we have more powerful telescopes than we ever had before. Lovecraft takes this idea and he thought, okay, what if there are higher, more important beings out there in the universe? And they have that view of humanity as we are merely fleas or mites in their perspective. And so he comes up with this, what we call the Cthulhu mythos. Now, what is a myth? A myth, traditionally, it's some sort of explanation of the world. They're old stories, they're untrue stories, but about the origins of the world in some way. The official definition of a myth is it's a traditional story, especially one concerning early history of people or explaining some natural social phenomenon, and particularly involving things important to that particular culture. Now, these myths are no longer necessary. That's one of the things that science has done. Now, thanks to modern sciences, we don't need to know that the sun is the center, the Earth is the center of the universe. We know the sun is. That's science for us. Earth is no longer as important as it was under the old Ptolemaic conception of the universe. And what science basically does is saying, humanity and Earth are less and less important, continually less and less important. And some people are very, very disturbed by this. Tolkien, for example, was kind of disturbed by this. He was a devout Catholic. He thought man was center of creation. God created man in his image. And one of Tolkien's responses to write The Lord of the Rings. It doesn't really have a lot of religion in it. You don't see a lot of religion in it. But if you're familiar enough with, Catholic doctrine, you sort of see a lot of Catholic ideas in there. And that's one of his reactions to the sort of soullessness of modern science and modern 20th century is, right, this fantasy work with a very Catholic worldview attached to it. Lovecraft goes the other direction. Instead of going into religion, he was a devout atheist. He was a hardcore atheist. He went in the other direction and sort of embraced the infinite smallness of humanity. It comes up with this Cthulhu mythos where these grand cosmic beings that don't care about humanity whatsoever, and if they did, wouldn't like us very much. And so the Lovecraftian mythos suggests that the highest entities of that mythos are malevolent, they're evil, alien, and they do not think well of mankind. Cthulhu, by the way, is one of the less important deities within this mythos. He just happens to get all the fame because he happened to be the first major one that really made an impact. But in terms of the Lovecraft mythos of Cthulhu and whatnot, Cthulhu is not that important. And so S.G. Joshi, which is probably the most prominent Lovecraft scholar today, he defines the dominant aesthetic takeaway from Lovecraft's fiction as this: the idea that his pseudo-mythology brutally shows that man is not the center of the universe, much less the earth, and that the gods care nothing for him, and that the earth and all its inhabitants are but a momentary incident in the unending cyclical chaos of the universe. Happy thought. And so when you encounter a true Lovecraft fan, this sense that there are these vast scopes of time and space on the other outer edges of existence, and that man just happens to have this little tiny little speck of it. That tends to be what a lot of people say that they kind of like best about this stuff. And so that's cosmic indifferentism. And by the way, if you haven't looked at Cthulhu is running for president, have you guys heard about that? It's true. Look at the original discussion post and you'll see his unusual platform in response to the All Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter movements. So check out Cthulhu's platform as he runs for president in 2020.